For those of you old enough, most of you are, do you remember how you responded to the 9/11 attacks when you first heard about them? Me personally, I was in Hawaii at a Tony Robbins seminar, Life Mastery, and it was the perfect place to be. I do remember that I was very angry because that tends to be my de facto emotion that I go to when things go haywire. When there's an attack, different people utilize different emotions. Some go into sorrow or fear. Some go into what can I do to help another person? This becomes the de facto operating procedure an emotion that we run by. And when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, many people remember it, even though it's so recent, in a similar manner, because it really is a gut punch to me as an American. You see, I consider 9/11 to be an external attack upon America, one that we might expect, one that is absolutely horrific, one that negatively impacted the entire globe with the aftermath, as well as all the needless destruction and people that died in it, and set off a global war on terrorism. It was absolutely horrific, but at least it was somebody external to the United States, to the tribe that we call ourselves, that precipitated this reaction from the US. Charlie Kirk, for me, is even worse because, like so many people, he showed up in your YouTube feed so much, and you got to know him and realize that he was a really good and decent person. And the murder, the assassination of this young man who was doing nothing but trying to unite the nation, stepping up and offering rhetoric where two sides are going at each other. He steps into the middle of the fray and says, come debate our ideas. He did politics exactly as they were meant to be performed. He was exemplary, and he practiced so much. He was so good. He was too effective. And this is the reason, by the way, that they took him out, because subconsciously they've managed to divide America into two opposing sides. And this man who bridges the gap and brings people over to the side of righteousness, let's just call it what it is, he's the exact opposite of the Antifa tranny lover that assassinated him in cold blood, a man of faith, of family, of working hard. And this guy drops out of school, joins up with the trannies, gets hooked on trans cub porn, if you know what that is, allegedly. And this guy goes out because Charlie is too good, because Charlie is too effective. And so subconsciously this enters his mind as they devalue Charlie, as they denigrate him with words like fascist, white supremacist, hate, all the things that Charlie was not. He was uniting the nation, bringing people over, convincing young men to step into who they can be rather than going down the road of Tyler Robinson. And this is why he was killed. And for me, it's a bigger gut punch, not only because it's more recent than 9/11, because it was done internally. And it shows the fracturing that exists in our nation. Furthermore, you had the celebrations that were so numerous, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people actively on social media, letting it be known that they were in favor of what took place, of the death of the young man. All the polls showing the political violence on the left is appreciated and condoned, with over 50% of people saying that violence against Donald Trump is certainly something to be admired, as they demonstrated with Luigi Mangione, as they hold vigils in his honor, as they cheer outside the courtroom when some of the other charges against the man are dropped. They want this. They precipitate this. It is demonstrated with Jay Jones running for Attorney General of Virginia, who openly called for the murder of his opponent's children, as well as the opponent, and reiterated over and over and said that he meant it in a phone call. And after the text, yes, I mean what I said. And this is what is driving the left. It's violence. It's not a both sides thing. They say, well, maybe now you should tone down the rhetoric. What? Charlie should tone down the rhetoric when he's just there debating people? Come debate me. Let's meet in the middle of the ring. Let's go mano a mano, voice on voice. And we will see who wins in the public perception. Can you change my mind? Can I change yours? But that is no longer tolerated by the left because we must bow down to their wishes. And with Al-Qaeda, they have a completely different ideology, but at least it united America, the horrific attack. People understood this to be absolutely evil, and the justification afterwards with bin Laden's letter to America that was publicized on TikTok is just another psyop meant to divide us. Yeah, what? We should have responded to the Bosnian massacre sooner? Who else did respond? But it's only because they're Muslims that we should have responded. Nobody right now is responding to what's happening in Nigeria, where Christians are being ritualistically killed and there's an actual genocide going on. But that doesn't matter to these kafir-wearers because it's their side versus the side of righteousness. And anybody who's in the Christian camp in Nigeria, well, they don't deserve the time of day the same way that Charlie Kirk is some white nationalist in their eyes when he's anything but that. And the point for me is that this affected me in a more negative manner because at least I could understand that one other side demands war with the United States, that they blame the United States for whatever happens in their countries, and they've convinced enough people. Fine, we can accept that that might be the case. But when it comes internally, when a family member, so to speak, decides that it's time to take a hammer to daddy's head, well, then you've got a serious problem in your family. And you can extend that out to the tribal United States of America that has never, in my mind, been so divided to the point where they are now protecting their little foot soldiers of Antifa that are wreaking havoc against the democratically elected Donald Trump government that is attempting to expel illegal aliens from within our borders that were invited here and paid for and incentivized to come by one Joseph R. Biden and his crew of progressives that did everything that they could to destroy America. And we can only thank God that Kamala Harris was not elected. But it's a total gut punch when you take somebody who's trying to unite the country, whose mission it is to debate others and allow the best argument to win out in the minds of the public, but he was too effective, so you took him out. You said that debates on the merits, that to engage in a civil manner was no longer to be tolerated. And then all those people that celebrated afterwards, just pouring gasoline on the already flaming inferno that is leading US into a civil war. And for these reasons, and possibly recency bias, the Charlie Kirk assassination has a more profoundly negative effect upon our country, upon our discourse, than whatever Al-Qaeda did. Because again, at least that united New York City. At least that united Americans into a common opponent, which they are, which they still today are. Radical Islam is an opponent of the West that wishes to prescribe Sharia law upon us. And oh no, the progressives are all cheering for Hamas and declaring Israel to be a genocidal state while Boko Haram in Nigeria attacks Christians, as Van Jones mentioned, by the way, to give him credit the other day on Bill Maher. So we need to take all of these things into account, but I really don't see anything but civil war on the horizon. I don't know how to pull back. You can't pull back because these people just block you when you come at them with reasons, because we're so ensconced in our echo chambers that any voice of reason is to be automatically rejected, and that is by design. You want people engulfed in one narrative and this to be fed to them over and over so that they reject the other side. And if Jay Jones gets elected in Virginia, well, you know what? Then people can't even judge people based on their merits, because Jay Jones, this man who drove 116 miles an hour in a 45 zone, and in order to avoid jail, agrees to community service and pledges half of those 500 hours, or 500 of the 1,000, to his own campaign, from what I've read. Yeah, well then we are not a sane nation, and we've been completely psyoped into destroying ourselves, and Charlie Kirk is the moment that civil war struck. So please leave me your thoughts in the comment section. Am I right? Is there a way out of this? Let me know what you guys think. Peace.